Coming to you live from Nasrec Expo Center at the G20 Summit. Very big day for South Africa, very big day for women in particular in the country. And standing with me now is Minister Chikunga, Sindisiwe Chikunga, the Minister of Women, Youth and People with Disabilities. Minister, how are you, firstly?
I am fine and I'm happy to be here.
The G20 in African soil in South Africa for the first time. What does this moment mean for your portfolio, for women, for young people and people with disabilities, and how were they involved or are to be involved when all is said and done and the summit finally leaves our shores?
We had the opportunity of chairing one of the G20 working groups, the Empowerment of Women Working Group. We took over from Brazil on the 10th of October last year. And we came back to South Africa and we said, what are our priorities? We ended up with 3 priorities. 1, financial inclusion for and of women. Secondly, care economy, paid and paying. And then we said gender-based violence and femicide, fighting it. And therefore, we sat together to say, how do we deal with these issues and what do we bring to women of South Africa? A lot was said. It is in our chairperson's statement because we could not adopt the declaration because we were not ready to water down the language as per the request of some of the countries. In fact, one country for that matter that was expecting us never to use things such as gender equality, all women and girls, inclusivity, etc. So we decided that no, we can't water it down. We may as well have the chairperson statement that is strong and talks to issues as we want them. But we then looked at what are then the legacy projects, for instance, on all these 3. If you look at financial inclusion, for instance, we have said we definitely want to accelerate the distribution and giving of land to women in rural South Africa so that they are assisted in using the land, and also we are there to say these are the resources. We make follow up on those. We also said we had interaction, for instance, with the private sector as well. And the private sector said to us, we are doing a lot for women, for youth and for persons with disabilities. Said we don't know where you're doing it. And therefore we agreed on a multi-stakeholder dashboard, which we will be looking into in March next year. They already are doing it and they will be giving that to us. It has to have disaggregated information to say it's company CC Cindy and it is owned by a young person, a woman from Mpuluzi in the rural part of South Africa. We have trained her. This is what she's doing, etc., etc. So that we have all that information, so that we're able maybe to pick up things such as one person being empowered by all the institutions, and each of them count that as a person, and the other is here again, it's a person. So we want that. But also we are assisted by Italy in establishing the Empowerment Observatory Hub, Women Empowerment Observatory Hub. It will actually serve as a research for us. They're already doing it. We met with them yesterday. Former Minister Nhlanhla Nene is the leader here in Africa. And therefore, we're looking forward to that. And they said they're just waiting for us at the beginning of the year. So that is one thing that is very much excited, because what it means is that we're now going to have information at the press of the button. You look for any information, are able to say, this is what it means and this is what is happening with regards to women. And then, of course, with the care economy, the legacy project is us establishing establishing the care economy strategy in South Africa. And we want to see this happening already. There is some work that is going into it, being assisted by institutions such as TUT for free, University of Cape Town for free. And therefore, we're also going to bring in other tertiary institutions so that we move with speed in developing this strategy. But we're also happy that we've been invited by the AU to assist them in the drafting of the convention of the care economy. And if you talk about care economy, even in South Africa, some people don't even understand what we mean. But there are people that are behind me, a person who washed this dress, ironed it, and probably I'm paying her, it's okay. But we never recognize her. You see the minister and it ends with the minister. We are saying, no, it shouldn't end with the minister. It should not end with the president. We must also know that there's somebody who is responsible for our president, for our ministers, for our CEOs, for whoever, to look decent, and therefore to be taken seriously when they look decent. And therefore will be able to talk to investors, because investors take them seriously. But there's somebody who contributed, whose contribution is never costed and never counted. We're saying we've got to do that. But there's a young girl who drops out of school simply because there's a mother who is sick, and she takes care of the mother, who otherwise could have been admitted at a hospital or in an institution that probably is owned by the government, and government should have paid a lot of money for that. So that too must be costed, and possibly to look at whether we should not begin to professionalize in a way people who are providing care economy. These are the things that probably will not happen tomorrow, but in the long term probably will be possible. Then of course gender-based violence. And we say today, when women of South Africa are crying, and we agree with them, that indeed as women we are under siege. We're being killed, we're being raped, we're being emotionally abused, we're being financially abused. And we welcome the president's pronouncement yesterday.
Yes.
The president that takes issues of gender-based violence very seriously, as the president, but as a husband to a woman, as a father to girls or to daughters. And he takes these matters very seriously, because he would always ask the question to say, if this happened to my own daughter, how would I feel? And therefore, when the president said we are classifying gender-based violence as a crisis, we welcome that, because he's elevating it, something that he has done, in fact, all the time. I always say during pandemic COVID-19, when the country was locked down, President Ramaphosa said it seems like in South Africa we have two pandemics, one COVID-19 and secondly gender-based violence, because during the lockdown the rise in gender-based violence was like concerning. And that is where the president actually raised the matters. So we are happy that we now again going to pay full attention to this. We already have the interministerial committee, and I want to believe that it will be funded so that even our positive masculinity legacy project can then be funded, that we're able to go down to areas in rural areas to actually say to boys, you are a man even if you cry, if you are in pain. You don't have to show your power and energy by fighting. No, you are a man even when you say I apologize, so that we teach them that. But we go to communities to also say to them, please, when you have challenges and you protest, please don't include children, so that they are not part of sometimes strong words that you use, and they think that's the way to go when there are frustrations. It is worse when such protests sometimes end up with the torching of buildings, etc. And no one de-socialize or debrief these children. And therefore, when they go to universities, they believe that if you have a problem, the best way of responding is to torch buildings. We see it on TV. University of Fort Hare. We see it on TV, Wits University, children torching buildings. When we don't link it with what happens in our communities, with children being brought in with the aim of making those, and at the same time we don't have, when they go to tertiary institutions, there is no time allocated for debriefing and demobilization, de-socialization of these children. All they do, they get into class, they are taught economics, which I think it's important. But we believe we'll have to also have engagement with our tertiary institutions, maybe to allocate time before they start with the subjects of even inviting, for instance, defense, to teach our young people about love for their country, because we think that is important, to love your country. Patriotism, we think that is important. So these are the things that we believe as and when we deal with the crisis that the president said yesterday, we'll be able to bring on board to say what else must we do, working together with the civil society, with academic institutions, with traditional leadership, with the religious leadership, everybody, with the media. And we're happy that this time around our launch will involve the media, whatever. They will be there to say, how are you contributing in fighting gender-based violence and femicide? So our 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, the launch of it this time around, it will not be at the stadium. We're going to have you guys there.
Lastly, Minister, as you mentioned, this G20 is coinciding with massive protests all across the country. I can see yourself really, really beautiful in your purple. What message do you have to South Africans out there, women, men, who are protesting and voicing out the scourge of gender-based violence as a pandemic, as you said?
We are saying we are with you. Secondly, we are saying we understand your pain. We are saying to men, if a woman says no, she means no. And we are saying if violence can be learned, it means it can be unlearned. So if you have learned that violence is the answer, we are saying to you, you have the potential and the capacity to unlearn violence and deal with issues the peaceful way. If you think you have a problem, get somebody to confide to, and then that's the way of dealing with pain, with frustration, but not violence.